guys?
Good.
Good, how are
Hi,
you?
how are you?
Good. So what made you interested in doing the show?
Well, for me, definitely, when I was presented with the idea for the concept of the show, it really excited me because I'm a big spiritual person. I believe in manifestation, I believe in signs, and way before I even was presented with the opportunity to be on this show, I had visions actually of being with somebody from my past. And it's even in my journal. You can definitely see that on the show. So I was, of course, going to jump at the opportunity. I just thought that it was something that I was meant to do. And, you know, this is a once in a lifetime chance. It's impossible to pass up something like this.
For me, it felt super fitting because I've traveled a lot and I lived in a lot of different areas. I work as a travel CT tech. So, I lived in California, Chicago, Cleveland, and I come from a small town, so I'm just like, when I sat back and thought about like how this show could apply to me, I'm like, I have to have so many misconnections considering like all my relocating, and I've never really been anywhere long enough to really like explore any of those connections. So I thought it was like a really great opportunity that fit my life.
This experience for me was absolutely perfect. I had just gotten out of an 8-year relationship, like 6 months prior to the filming of the show. So all I knew was how to be a serial monogamist. And of course, throughout all these years, I've always wondered, like, what if this happened with this guy from voice class, or what happened with this guy from school, So being able to explore those opportunities in this accelerated experience was something that was very hopeful for me.
Speaking of accelerated experience, about how long was filming? Because for us, we have no concept of time.
I think it was like a month and a half.
It was like a month.
And like a week, maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
We didn't have much of a concept of time either.
We didn't have our phones.
No watches.
Watches. We just rose with the sun and slept with the moon. So
yeah.
Well, I actually slept at the sun and then
most of us slept with the moon.
The lights would blink in our room if we overslept.
True. Or like a producer would come knocking on our door.
Yeah. So was there anyone that you were hoping to come through the portal, or were there people that you were like, I really hope they don't come through?
Well, I definitely had a list of 200 people that I sent to the producers. Genuinely 200 people. So I had, my number one person. I'm not going to say names, but he actually ended up on another dating show. I had another person from summer camp way back then who had also previously been on a dating show, and I didn't know about it until then. So there were like a lot of guys that just ended up doing other projects and were unable to come and do this show. But I was really pleased with the people who did come through. And I think it's about, finding unexpected connections. Maybe the person that you think is, the perfect person for you isn't meant to be yours. And I think that's something we explore here.
For sure.
For myself, I kind of left it up to the portal, and I was like, I really want to dive headfirst into this experiment, because really that's what it was to me. It was kind of a dating experiment where you're putting your trust into this portal that is going to send out whoever. You have no clue. So I kind of really went into it with an open mind and open heart, and there wasn't anyone I was like particularly like set on coming through or anything, because I feel like at that point it's not really a misconnection, because that's someone that I know about and I think about, and I could reach out to. So I really went into it just kind of hoping for the surprise, and yes, I was definitely surprised. There was even a couple people I wanted to throw back into the portal, but I'll let you watch that.
Yeah, I was like so scared that my ex was gonna show up and like
the ex of 8 years.
Chance. Yeah, the ex of 8 years.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh my god, like I know we were at the proposal-ish state, and I was like, oh my god, what was if he like this is what he needed to finally get that ring? And I was like really nervous about that. And then there were like several guys I was like trying to talk to after we broke up, and I'm like, would they show up for me on this experience? No, obviously none of them did. None of them want to fight for me, so like screw them. So I'm kind of glad they didn't show up because it showed me their true colors and how much they actually cared about me, which was nothing.
So you guys put in like requests of people that you potentially would want to see or that you thought you may have had a connection with?
I think the producers kind of they kind of prompted us in a lot of different ways to be able to dig up people from your past. I know for me, they spoke to like a lot of my friends and family and friends from when I was younger, and kind of we talked a lot. A lot of it was just like having casual conversation and talking about our childhoods and a lot of the things that we participated in, different stories, and so for me it was just like a lot of communication and them and giving out context of people that I grew up with, and that's kind of how I believe they found the people that came through my portal.
Yeah, and I think the casting process is a little bit different for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. So we each had different people just work on the people that are coming through the portal for us. So they did that through a few different ways. They did that through the list, of course. I had 200 people. I don't know how many people put a bunch of people on their list. But then they talked to friends and family. They went through our social media and looked at who maybe we had overlooked from like our high school days or from college or from what have you. They just went through a whole bunch of different methods, and it was interesting to see who they chose for us all.
Yeah. It was a lot of back and forth because I think the guys that might have had crushes on me in the past are like already married or like have kids or in relationships. Literally, quote unquote, they were like, "Oh, some guys really wanted to come for you," and then they were like, "What? This now she wants to date me?"
Aww.
You know. So I think there were a lot of missed opportunities, and I think most of them were found through Facebook. Sorry, I spit on you, my bad. Most of them are found through Facebook. My best friend helped them a lot. And then I also did give them a list, not of 200 people, but like 50. So still a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But like you kind of have to fish big to find the 1%, right? So I understood like where they were coming from in terms of, submitting that many people.
Yeah, and not everybody says yes. A
Right.
lot of people had to reject us before we even get to the set. So the fact that we're rejecting people, of course, doesn't feel good, but it does go both ways. Like we also had to, there's a lot of people that didn't say yes to this.
For sure. So there was a bit of drama about people not exactly dating or connecting with the people who they came for or connected with. But I do believe you guys were in a very hide and stay situation. Did you guys kind of feel like it was open season, or did you think the people who came for you were just for you and that other people shouldn't be mingling? Like, how did you think about it then, and how do you think about it now?
For me personally, I wasn't surprised of like people intermingling. I just feel like ultimately it's a dating show, and we all went there to find love. And, I think we all, in one way or another, found love, whether, people were intermingling. I know like I found love like as in friendship as well with like all the castmates, like all the leads. It was an interesting dynamic though, for sure.
Yeah, I think that one thing to take away from this, and I feel like a lot of us can speak to this, we didn't really know a lot what this show was, right? We were told, very minimal details going into it. So really it was what we made it.
Yeah.
We were not told, okay, you are specifically supposed to date this person, so it is interesting that we're all in co-ed environments where, the leads are all living, of course we have our own quarters, but, the arrivals were all in one house together, and they're boys and girls. So, of course we're over there not knowing what's going on at the lodge, and we're speculating as to like, are there relationships going on? But of course, we came there to find love. We came there to find the one, and, whether it was with someone from our pod or from somebody in the house, we didn't know, and we were just there to experiment and see where it was going to go.
I just think to feed off of that, if there were intermingling, I think that'd be something where like it depends on also like how it's presented. Like, is this something that's going to be like, we have not seen the show yet. So like if there was intermingling, I don't know about it, but I mean, we'll find out. But, you know, I think it's like a respect thing that if that's how you feel, if you like someone else in you know, your quarters, then, you know, present that to me. Like, it's just the right thing to do. And I would understand that. But if it's like a sneaky, like, oh, I'm going to date Ashley, you know, to be, you know, to stay here, but I actually really like someone else who I'm living with, and, you know, and I'm blind to it, then, you know, that's just like not, you know, not really a cool thing to do. So it'll be interesting to see what really happened, because we don't know.
We don't have any idea.
Yeah, like respectfully, I think we all knew there were people that came for us, but I know it was kind of up in the air if we had found interest or romantic interest in someone else. We were definitely speculating like what was going on in the house over there. Like we had no idea, like, because they spent so much time together, whereas and less time with us, like dating us, in my opinion. So they could have formed so much stronger connections than we could have seen. So again, as the show comes out, we haven't seen it yet. We'll see if there were actually underlying connections that we just couldn't spot. So that'd be really interesting to find out.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, and congrats on the show, and hopefully a great love life.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, bye.